G'day guys, how are we going? Just beat the count there, to be honest. Just sat down and noticed that there's an alert saying you're supposed to go live. So welcome to Talking Boxing. It is actually Monday, the 1st of May. While we're going, I'm actually going to correct that. See if I can correct that as we go. Let's see if I don't screw the whole thing up. Right, there we go. May 1st, 2023, and great to have you along. And it's always great to catch up with you guys on a Monday night at 7 o'clock to talk all things boxing. Now, if you haven't been here before, this is your show. This is where we discuss what you guys want to talk about. I've got a few things on my agenda. I've got a little bit of an idea of what I think you guys want to talk about tonight. Well, actually, there's a few different things, but I think one of the ones we'll probably jump straight into in a sec is the Michael Zarafa situation. This guy just loves getting stuck into the Australian fight fans, doesn't he? He's a very, very controversial figure. He's had a little bit of interesting news last week, so we'll discuss that. Let's talk a little bit more about the Joseph Parker, Django Apalu No Limit card on the, when is it? May 24th, I think it is. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I did sort of touch on it on the Boxing Deep Dive show last week. But I want to get your opinion on what you guys think of it. I know there's a few comments coming through last week about it, about the pay-per-view worthiness of it. I had my say. I'm going to have another say tonight, and obviously in association with you guys. So we'll go through the whole card, and you guys can tell me what you think of the event. Some news on Liam Paro. Fight week, of course, for Canelo Alvarez and John Ryder. So I want to hear your opinions about that. Joshua Wilder may be happening. And still some things to play out in the Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis situation as well. So plenty to talk about. But as I said, the first thing I want to jump into tonight is, if you didn't see it last week, I'm sure you all have, because he's Australia's most controversial figure, is Michael Pretty Boy Zarafa. So what's happened is he's decided to forego his world title, guaranteed world title fight for July. I think they were talking about for the WBA belt. We've got there Carl. How are you, mate? Thanks for tuning in. Mitch Cook as well. Evening. Some big fights announced last few days. Feel like a good next few weeks, months for Oz boxing fans. Yes, so let's talk about them all. But I want to get into the Zarafa situation at the moment. Now, as I said, if you haven't heard about it, I'm sure you have, but if you haven't, he was ranked number 1 with the WBA and the IBF. So he had pretty much a choice of which title he was going to fight for. He's decided to forego the IBF route and a fight with Falcao in that one. So he's foregone that to then get the guaranteed WBA fight with Erislandy Lara. Now, a spanner in the works. Apparently the fight was supposed to be done. There was some murmurings that there might be something coming because Lara wasn't overly keen on fighting Zarafa, whatever it is. You never know what goes on behind closed doors on these events. However, Michael Zarafa has decided, and a little bit of money, I'm sure, changed hands, but he's decided that he will forego his guaranteed fight with Erislandy Lara to step aside and allow Lara to fight Danny Garcia, who, by the way, has never fought at middleweight. He's gone from welterweight to super. He went from super lightweight to welterweight. I think he's had a fight or two, maybe at super welterweight. Well, now he is going to fight Erislandy Lara for the WBA title. So make of it what you will. I'll just get a couple of comments here. We'll keep going over them. Fancy that Zarafa dodging a fight. Yeah, well, I don't know, Carl. I know it appears that he's dodging, but why would you dodge a guaranteed world title fight? It doesn't make sense. I'll get a few more comments and then I'll give my 2 cents. But Jules is here as well. How are you, mate? Welcome to the show. Jules says, evening, fellas. Said it a few weeks back. Zarafa seems like talking about world titles and actually fighting. He does. It's an interesting one. And look, look, you would hope, whatever you want to call it, that it's not the case. But I've got to say, now, I'm sure, look, I don't know anything about it, but knowing the way these things work, I've got no doubt that there probably would have been maybe $150,000, $200,000, who knows, maybe more, that's gone to Michael to step aside. Now, when you think about it, Michael's probably maybe got the advice saying, well, if you just, we're going to get the fight, let's just hang out, let these guys have their fight, we'll take the money and then we'll get him next. But then what? Yeah, Carl, that's getting paid step aside money. Andy, how are you, mate? Thanks for joining in. Sounds like the Rafa got step aside money. Yeah, he did, mate. So what I think's happened is he's got the step aside money. He's stepped aside, but I'm a little bit perplexed of the risks involved. Now, Zarafa, didn't he? I think it was the end of last year that he fought. This is not till July. Let's actually, while we're going, I'm going to bring up his date. Now, I can't remember the exact date. Was it the end of last year that he fought? Let's have a look. Michael Zarafa, 31-4, by the way. So he last fought in November 2022. All right. So I'm assuming he's going to not fight and just wait for it, because why would you take a risky tune-up fight when you've got a guaranteed world title fight? This is not a Tim Tszyu situation here. He's got the fight. He's got an opponent. I understand the politics of it all, the way it works. The powers that be don't want Michael Zarafa in the mix. They see him as a no-name, so they want him out, and they want the bigger Lara versus Garcia fight. Okay, so that's fine. So let's take it on that Michael won't fight before then. So this is July, so that'll be 8 months. He would have been out by then. Now, you know the way these guys work. If they do, whoever wins that fight, it might be another 8 months to 9 months, maybe a year before they want to fight Michael Zarafa. That's if they want to fight him at all. And we know the way that things work. They can have injuries. They can, whatever it might be, they can just delay the fight. He might be out of the ring for 12 to 18 months by the time he gets his shot. Now, when I first looked at this, my first reaction was, yeah, okay, I can sort of see where he's getting at, although I would never have done it. So I don't know who the hell is giving him advice. I'll just put that out there. All right. But if it was me giving him advice, it'd be like, all right, you've got the guaranteed world title fight. And I looked at it that, okay, if he gets a couple of $100 US to step aside, hey, it's not bad if he's guaranteed the next fight. The problem is, as I said, we're still 4 months or 3 months, whatever it is, away from this fight. And then who knows how long it's going to be after that before they decide to fight him at all. A lot can happen in the 6, 7, 8 to 12 months after that July fight. So does Michael then take a tune-up fight? Now, as I said, this is not a Tim Tszyu situation. Tim's got no choice. He's got the guaranteed fight. He doesn't just want to sit around and wait and sit on his hands, and because anything can happen. He's keeping busy. So full respect to Tim Tszyu. This is a situation where, you know, is it a case of Michael Zarafa just letting his best years go by? You got to remember, this guy hasn't been active at all. He's had 4 fights in nearly 4 years. It's not a lot of activity, and one of those was the first round demolition of Anthony Mundine. The other one was it a second or third demolition of some guy from Fiji. The Italian guy who fought the Creati in his last fight offered him nothing except a little bit of shadow boxing practice. And Isaac Hardman went 2 rounds. It's not a lot of grounding to prepare for a world title fight. So, look, I'm sure there's a lot more to play out, a lot more that's gone on behind the scenes. But looking at it from a distance, I don't know who the hell is advising Michael Zarafa that this is a good idea, even with the couple of $100,000 step aside money, if that's what it is. Could be more, whatever. I don't care what it is. I'm just going to get a couple of comments here so I don't skip the by. Exactly, not like Scott Balls like Tim. You always tell it the way it is, Carl, and I like that about you, mate. Jules, if Zarafa loses to Lara, where does he go? Well, where does he go without a shot at the WBA title? Is there more financial marketing benefit to hanging around as a world title challenger? I don't think so, Jules. Look, as I said, I know there's probably a lot more that's gone on that I don't know about and we don't know about. I understand that, but I'm looking at what's in front of me or us, and that is guaranteed world title fight. Remember, he's told the IBF he doesn't want to fight for that belt, so he's out of the picture. So he's giving up. He had the pick of him. Don't forget. So he's got the IBF title. He's decided that no, I'm going to forego that. I'm going to concentrate on the WBA belt, but then doesn't fight for the WBA belt. I understand that's a business and you're looking at strategic ways. This guy's 30 years old. He's not 25, 26, whatever it might be. He's 30 years old. And since he's been 26 years old, he's fought 4 times. He was right. And I'm not trying to slag Michael off here. I'll be saying this about anyone. I know Michael's an easy target, so this is not directly as a personal attack at Michael. I'm looking at it as a business decision. So he had those 2 memorable fights with Jeff Horn. Stopped Jeff Horn, and what an unbelievable victory that was. And to his credit, He took on Jeff Horn 3 months later, gave him a rematch when he probably didn't have to, but Michael Zarafa, that's what I do admire about him. Yeah, bring it on, I'll fight him, whatever. Didn't get the win, and at that stage, I thought he might be in a little bit of trouble about where does he go. And it did look that way because with COVID and everything else, and he had that fight against Mundine, which is an absolute farce, but got himself back on track with the win over Isaac Harmon, got on the No Limit roster, got the win over Karate, so here we go. Forget the Tim Tszyu situation. We can't do anything about that. But I'm looking at it as what it is, Jules. If he loses to Lara, well, so be it. He's fought for the world title. He's had a crack. He might not get a crack at the world title. I'm just saying. He might not get a crack at the world title. Wouldn't you prefer to say, there's the belt. I'm going to fight for it. I don't care what's going on out there in the step aside. I want that belt and I want to get it. Because who knows what doors it opens afterwards. It could be Golovkin. It could be Jamal Charlo, so the middleweight version. You just don't know what's going to happen. It could be Munguia. There's so many options. So that's where he would go. If he loses, well, how is it different to where he is now? He goes back to the drawing board, tries to get back up. You're only as good as your last fight. He's going to be a name, win or lose against Lara. So where does he go? Well, there's a lot more opportunities. He's going to be no worse off than what he is now. So, look, I don't know. What do you guys think? Carl, Zarafa should be a commentator. He loves talking about fights rather than being in them. Well, again, I'm not trying to attack Michael here because I know him well and he's a good guy. But got to tell it the way you see it or say it the way you see it. And he's doing a lot more talking than fighting now. So I'm just hoping there is something that we don't know about that in 6 months, or not even 6 months, 2-3 months time, we go, okay, that's what they were getting at. Because looking at it now, I just can't see it. What do you guys think? Zarafa should have just taken Falcao and got in there. 100%, Jay, I'm with you. 100%. I don't understand why you would have the choice of 2 world titles. What a position to be in. You can fight for this title or that title. Let's forego that title and concentrate on this title, but we don't fight for it. Why wouldn't you fight Falcao? I think it's an easier target than what Lara is. Win the IBF title, then target Lara for a unification fight. If you've got the belt, it opens up so many different options for you. If you haven't got the belt, as Chopper Reed would say, you're just another bare bum in the shower, because that's the way it is. With no belt, and this is what I love about Tim. Tim realises that it's just an interim belt he's got. He knows it's not the real deal, but what he's saying is, I want that real belt. I'm going to keep fighting and keep active and keep improving until I get that belt. I just don't get it. I'm sorry. I know Michael has a habit of doing things that's not quite right, but geez, talk about a guy that loves sort of razzing up the Australian boxing public, because I don't know whether he does it on purpose, but he's very, very good at it. So, all right. What do we got there, Jules? Got a question just how bad Zarafa wants it. Well, I'm with you, Jules. How many fighters would forego multiple once-in-a-lifetime opportunities? Exactly, mate. And your question before, look, if he does fight Lara, where does he go? Well, where doesn't he go? You've got to have a crack. And if it was only that one, look, if he was ranked number 1 with the WBA and nothing else, and he gets an awesome offer to step aside, and he's been promised the next fight by October this year, okay, you can sort of look at it and say, yeah, all right. But he's had the choice of 2 titles, foregone one and chosen another, but hasn't fought for it. I don't understand it. Now, I know he's with Elvis Grant over there. I'm sure he knows a lot more about boxing than what we do, but I don't understand with the risks involved with boxing. And you're right, that once in a lifetime opportunity, why forego that opportunity? I'd say stick your money. I want to fight for that belt. Or maybe backtrack a little bit and fight for, maybe sweet talk the IBF again. I don't know. But I just don't know. We know who's advising Michael, but I don't understand the logic behind it. I really don't. Now, I don't know what you guys think. We'll get a couple of questions here. But Jules, I'm with you, mate. You've got a question. Look, he wants it bad, but geez, if you want it bad, stuff the money. He said himself he doesn't do it for money. Stuff the money. Stuff the step aside money. I'm number 1 challenger for that belt, and I want to fight for that belt. It's as simple as that. I don't know. Dan, how are you, mate? He obviously has no confidence that he'll beat Lara. Maybe, but I don't think so. I think, why would he forego the IBF route again and choose the WBA where he knows he's got to fight Lara? Why wouldn't you say, oh, shit, let's forego the WBA belt, go for the IBF belt against Falcao, who I think is an easier fight, Good fighter, but an easier fight. Lara is a very, very cagey and experienced fighter. He might be 39 years of age, but he can still fight. And we've seen that in the past. And he hasn't been knocked around a lot. I think he'd be okay. So I see that as the harder fight. Why wouldn't you get the IBF belt and then to see what unfolds from there? Is it a unification fight with the winner of Lara and Garcia? How the hell has this guy got a world title fight anyway? The guy's never fought at middleweight. But anyway, you've got the IBF belt, then you can maybe fight the winner of this fight, or maybe Charlo wants a unification fight. He might see Michael as a tune-up fight, whatever it might be, an easy way to unify the belts. Golovkin might decide he wants back in, might see Michael as an easier route to, or route, whatever you want to call it, to a world title. You just don't know what can unfold. Tim Tszyu wins the undisputed world title at super welterweight, decides to give that away after one defense and then wants to fight Michael for all the chocolates. Who knows? But you don't know until you actually get in there. And to give up a guaranteed world title fight, money aside, I don't get it, especially when you might have to wait 12 months to get your shot. He might say, he might have a couple of, it might be a no-limit thing where he might headline at one of their Fox Sports nights and it's an easier tune-up type of fight, whatever, that's okay. But I think we just need to probably get a bit more clarification from Michael because so far we've really had nothing. So Carl says maybe he's the Boo Andrade of Australian boxing and he's hanging around for that Tim Tszyu fight that won't happen. Well, he's hanging around for the Tim Tszyu fight, Carl. He's going to be waiting a long time, I think, because I don't think Tim Tszyu wants to fight Michael Zarafa out of spite. He gave him his chance. He turned him down for whatever reasons, but I know we've been over that a million times. Tim Tszyu doesn't want to give, and he said himself, does not want to give Michael Zarafa the right to fight for a big purse and have a massive fight in Australia. Had his chance. So I don't think Tim Tszyu fights Michael Zarafa unless 100% Tim Tszyu, not Michael Zarafa. So I think the only way Tim will fight him is if Michael has a belt at middleweight and Tim wants that belt, or heaven forbid he loses at super welterweight and wants to go to middleweight and then sees Michael as the ideal rebound fight. I don't know, but all I can say is that Tim Tszyu will not give Michael Zarafa an opportunity to fight him. And I don't care what Michael's manager says. Tim Tszyu is the A side and the B, C, D inside. If you're C side, D, E, and F side for me over Michael Zarafa. It's as simple as that. Michael's the G, H side, and that's a fact. Yes, a lot of people will tune in to see Michael get bashed by Tim, but Tim is the name in the whole thing. Make no mistake about that. But anyway, Andy says Zarafa needs to grab his opportunities, but Erislandy Lara, no joke, should have took Falcao. Yeah, mate. As I said myself, I 100% agree with it. Now, look. Again, we don't know the full story, so I know we're just sort of jumping ahead, but how can you not have some sort of idea what's going on when you've given up a choice of two belts and you end up your number one challenger for both belts and you don't fight for either one of them? I don't understand it. I really don't. Actions speak louder than words, 100%, Andy. Carl says, Andy Lara is 40 years of age. You couldn't possibly age him out anymore. No, well, that's why he's the perfect fight. Look, I think one thing we sort of tend to forget is that Michael's is, I suppose, a big name here in Australia, but he's a no-name overseas. I know they might say that's different, but at the end of the day, all he's known for is getting a touch-up from Kell Brook, and that's probably about it. I mean, that's just the way it is. So I can understand where the PBC guys have probably said, look, that's going to be a really tough sell. We don't think we can do it. Let's just pay this guy to step aside and let's get a decent fight in Lara and Garcia. Because I'm not sure that's even a good fight, to be honest. I think Lara and Zarafa is a 10 times better fight. But I don't know. Strange things have happened. Who knows? We're just guessing. Jay says, wouldn't Zarafa have got paid the same to fight as he would have to step aside? Probably. Look, maybe what they've said is, Jay, again, I'm just thinking out loud. Maybe, and I'm picking numbers here. I have no idea. Let's just say they say there's $200,000, Michael, to step aside, and we guarantee you will get $500 when you actually get to fight down the track, where he might have only got $350, $400 in total if he had a fought for it. I don't know. But what I'm trying to say is you've trained your whole life for this moment. You've sacrificed so much for this moment. You're 30 years of age, not 25. It's not like, oh, well, we don't get this one, it'll be down the track. So much can happen in this sport and this business. 30 years of age, I don't care what you're getting offered. I would just take the world title fight, because who knows, it just might not happen again. Anything can happen. As I said before, like that fight's going to be in July. They won't want to fight again till early next year, if then. So Rafa's got to have a tune-up fight or two. Has to. Same way, Teofimo was ranked number 1 in the 140-pound division after losing to Cambosis. Yeah, well, who knows how it all works, mate. Yeah, you're right. Danny Garcia's got the runs on the board, but geez, how you're ranked. It's not just he has had a fight or two at super welterweight, hasn't he? So, but there was even talk he wouldn't even stay at super welterweight. He'd go back to welterweight. Now all of a sudden he's going to fight for the WBA title. Look, I've given up trying to make sense of the sanctioning bodies. I'll say that, but geez, I don't know. I just give up. Jules says, either way, I can't handle another 12 months of world title soon. Post on Insta. Well, look, you're right, Jules. Look, again, I'm not trying to, load the boots into Michael, but let's face it, in the last 12 months, there's been a hell of a lot of stuff on social media about this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and that's going to happen, and that might happen, and nothing's happened. Since the Hardman fight, which is a year ago, by the way, only had that one fight with Creati, and I don't think he would have got anything out of that. So, as I said, like, if he doesn't plan to fight before he fights these guys, he's given up probably another year of his prime. I don't know, but either easy way to get around that, Jules, just don't follow him on Instagram. Team Batman Boxing, bad management. Yeah, I'm with you, mate. As I said, I'm not sure whether there's something we're not seeing, but that is from looking from the outside in, looking at it two-dimensionally, that is, I think, extremely bad management. But anyway, Carl, what have we got there, mate? I tell you what, I'm really pumped for Liam's new opponent. That's going to be, well, let's get on to that. Looks like, well, of course it was going to be, who was it? His name escapes me now, but end of the day, he's out. So it looks like it's going to be Jose Ramirez now. I'm just going to bring his record up here so I can have a look at it again. Jose Carlos Ramirez, of course, a former WBO, WBC world champion, lost the titles in a unification fight with Josh Taylor. What do we think about this, guys? This is I'm just going to, it doesn't matter, you guys who are knowing about, is it Barbolita, whatever the hell his name was. This fight, mate, no mistake about it, is the hardest fight out of all of them. It's got the better on me now, guys. Sorry, I'm going to have to bring up who the opponent was. I always go blank when I've got the camera in front of me. Let's have a look. Fill me in, guys. Who was it? Let's have a look. Arnold Barboza. There you go. Sorry, just mental blank. All right. So thanks, Carl. It was Arnold Barboza. So he said, I'm not interested in the fight. And now it looks like Jose Carlos Ramirez, who, as I said, lost in his one defeat. He's 28-1, 18 KOs. His lone defeat was against Josh Taylor. This guy is one hell of a fighter. And I've got no doubt it's going to be a lot harder fight than the Barboza fight would have been. What do you guys think? And is he ready? Is Liam ready? I know it's a silly question. He's ranked highly with the WBO. Is he ranked number 2 or whatever it is now? And probably one or two of the others. Is it a bridge too far for Liam Paro to take on Jose Ramirez? Look, I don't think it is, but I just think this is a very, very, very tough fight for Liam, and I'm hoping that he's ready for this, because even though, yeah, you're right, Carl, he is a weapon. I'm just going to look at Liam's resume here. So he's where is he? Liam Paro. I'm just not sure whether he's got the rounds in. He hasn't fought since October last year, so the time this fight comes around, it might be 8 or 9 months. Talent-wise, no problem. So before that, he only fought nearly 10 months before that in the States, 5 months before that. So he's been sort of semi-active, the other fights, but I'm not sure. He obviously hasn't fought anyone near the class of Jose Ramirez. But look, you got to be in it to win it. I think talent-wise, he's more than a chance to win. But geez, this guy Ramirez, I don't think he could have picked a harder opponent, to be honest. Count out Taylor and Lopez, of course. He's not ready now. He never will be. Never will be ready. Let's go, Liam. Yeah, good point, Carl. Yeah, you're 100% right there, mate. If look, he's worked hard to get where he is, and you never know you're ready until you don't know you're ready. So, yeah, I'm with you, mate. Like this opportunity we've been talking about with Zarafa, the opportunity's there. Take the fight. Whether it's Ramirez, whoever, he's got that world title fight. I know this is an eliminator, but take your opportunities because you just don't know what happens. I'm just not a big believer in the whole strategic maneuvering unless you're at the absolute top level. If you're on the way up and you're a contender or fringe contender, or whatever it might be, I'm getting back to Michael Zarafa here, by the way, why you play with fire. I really don't understand it. But in Liam's case, there'll be no tiptoeing around there. He'll say, I'll beat this guy, and then I want to take him on. It's like Stevie Spark, and we'll get to him a little bit later. He's just saying, hey, I know what I want. Bring on everyone because I'm going to jump over you to when I get to where I want to get to. And you got to admire that. He's a Queenslander. He'll be fine. He certainly is, Carl. He's a Queenslander. Is that how you say it? Queenslander? But yeah, mate, as an Australian, I think, I can't wait to see it. I've got a lot of time for Liam. I've met him a couple of times. Really, really good guy. Very quiet, I will say. Doesn't say a lot, but geez, he can fight. And I've got no doubt he'll give Ramirez and the winner of Taylor and Lopez, if that happens, one hell of a fight. So I'm not quite sure. It's going to purse bids, of course. So I think Jose Ramirez might be with Top Rank, is he? I think. And, of course, Paro's with Matchroom. So hopefully Matchroom win the purse bid and they can then decide whether it's going to be in Australia or overseas. I've got a feeling I'll probably do it overseas. Matchroom's gone awfully quiet on the Australian experiment. I know we've talked about it a couple of times on this show now. Yeah, I think there'll be more eyes on the event and more probably money involved if he fights him overseas. Carl, mate, I just want to see him up against good competition, 100%, mate. He sparred some of the best in boxing. I think he's going all the way. Well, the thing is, Carl, you got to take your hat off to someone like Liam Paro, who's uprooted himself. He's moved to the other side of the world, to Las Vegas, for months-long camps at a time. When I saw him over there in September when we were over there for the Canelo and Triple G fight. He'd been there a long time by himself already, training every day. And you've got to take your hat off to this guy. And when we saw him over there, he didn't have an entourage. He met us. When we saw him, he was just by himself. I think he was meeting a friend or two at the MGM, and he said that, look, this is sort of my second home now. Coming here doesn't really mean a hell of a lot. It's just the MGM. It's like going to the Crown Casino in Melbourne or whatever you've got up there, Jupiter's or whatever it might be up in Queensland. So it's like a second home to him. But this is a guy that has no big tabs on himself. There's no laurising. He wasn't dressed, flash. He didn't have the entourage with him. Just a really humble, down to earth guy who just wants an opportunity. So I'm sure when he gets a crack at it, that he will give a great account of himself, and let's hope he brings that belt back to Australia. So we just spoke before about Stevie Spark. He's fighting this weekend, of course. It's fight week for Canelo Alvarez and John Ryder. What are your thoughts about that? Must admit, there hasn't been a lot of fanfare about it. I haven't really taken a lot of notice. I check the boxing sites every day to see what's going on, but I forgot that it was actually this weekend, I must admit. But look, I'm sure on Sunday, Australian time, when it's coming about, we'll all be excited. But what are your thoughts? I think it's a tougher fight than what most people realise. I think it might be a replay, though, with like a Billy Joe Saunders type of fight, I think. I think Ryder will have some success early. Got that southpaw style, pretty cagey. Can punch, as we've seen in the past. But I just think that Canelo slowly chops him down and gets the win. I think they're expecting, was it 60 or 70,000 to the event, so it should be awesome in Mexico City. Got to take your hat off to John Ryder and Stevie Spark for that matter, to go into the Lion's Den and take the Mexicans on in their hometown. Very, very, very ballsy, I will say. So, who you got? I'm thinking Canelo will win by probably 9th or 10th round stoppage. I think Ryder has some success for the first 3 or 4 rounds. Canelo starts just to get on top in the middle rounds, and by the 8th round, I think he's got Ryder's measure, and in the 9th and 10 chops him down and gets him out of there. G'day, Matt says, put it very kindly, Ryder is not at Canelo's level. Yeah, well, it's a very good way to describe it there, Gatto, Matt. But look, um, look, I think Canelo's probably earned a type of fight like this. So I will say, I know he's probably going to fight Bivol in September. I know we all want him to fight Benavides, but I want to see Benavides and Morel fight. That's what I want. That will be an unbelievable fight. I'd rather see those two fight in Canelo and maybe Bivol fight. Even though I think it's the same result. But I think it's not a bad fight for him. It's not really Canelo's fault that Ryder's been sort of pushed on him. I know he probably can decide who he wants to fight, but he's taken a mandatory. And I don't know dramas with it, to be honest, Matt. Look, I don't think it's going to be an overly exciting fight. I'm still up in the air about whether to pay. I'm not sure what it even costs you. Probably $30. It better be. I'm not paying any more than that. But yeah, but look, there's some big weekends of boxing coming up. So, as boxing fans, I suppose we'll pay it. When you think about it, it's $30. It's not even the cost of a seat up in the bleachers at a fight night. So I don't think it's too much to spend on a fight like this. On Stevie Spark, going in as favourite on Sportsbet, $1.67. My only concern is if there's no KO, the judges may swing it. That's the massive, I suppose, asterisk on this, Jay. Look, I think what I like about, I don't know much about this guy, I will say, Jay. All I know is that Stevie Spark comes to fight. He'll give it his all. And let's hope it doesn't go to the judges' scorecards. The only issue I've got is if they've seen, I've talked about it on here before, whether the promoters see this as a way of showcasing Stevie Spark and maybe directing him towards something bigger, or they see him as maybe that easy target, the entertaining sort of target for their local guy. So I hope that's not the case. While we're going there, I'm just going to put in the card because I just want to see who he's... hang on. Canelo Alvarez, sorry. I'll just bring up the whole card and just see some details on it. But yeah, I'm not sure what type of fight. Where are we? All right, so he's fighting Gabriel Gomez Venezuela, who is, if I can get there, 26-3-1, WBA Intercontinental Super Lightweight title. So looks like it's going to be there's another semi-main before that, Julio Cesar Martinez against Ronald Batista for the WBC flyweight title. So it looks like it'll be the third or the second last fight before Alvarez and Ryder. So look, should be a great card anyway. It's a big card too. There's a few fights on there. So anyway, but yeah, it's an interesting one. But look, let's back our guy. Sportsbet would probably know whether it's blind faithful. They know a bit more than what we do. But yeah, I'm hoping that Stevie Spark gets the win, and who knows what can happen. And I tell you, Stevie Spark and Lee Amparo, that's the fight we want to see down the track, isn't it? Surely. Team Batman Boxing. I expect Canelo to put on a really good performance in front of his fans. Yep, Ryder is a durable guy, though, but we'll be taking lots of shots. Yeah, I'm with you, Batman. I think, look, I don't think Ryder's the type of guy, though, that you probably want to fight to look good in front of your fans because he's cagey, he likes to box, he's awkward, he's a southpaw. It's not like a Julio Cesar Chavez and Greg Haugen situation where Haugen was, geez, you talk about custom made for Chavez to give a beat down in front of the hometown fans. I don't think Ryder's that type of guy, and I think he'll be a lot more durable than probably what we think. But as I said before, I think 9 to 10 rounds, I think Canelo will give everyone a show and get him out of there. Jules says, can't wait for the Spark fight, fan-friendly style, and Stevie comes across as a really nice guy. Yep, nice to see nice guys get opportunities. Yeah, he's a nice guy, like Liam Paro is, but geez, when they come to fight, they come to fight. You know, they're a promoter's dream. That's why fans love them. We don't get any theatrics and playing games and all this bullshit. They just say, hey, there's my goal. That's what I want. Let's go get it and bring on whoever's in my way. And that's why, as Australian, not just Australian fight fans, but fight fans in general, we love these type of guys. Batman says, I think Canelo will stop him. Yep, I think so too. Bivol ducked Beterbiev over money. I did see, Carl, though, the WBC said they weren't going to sanction that fight. I think common sense has sort of prevailed here where the handlers have said to Bivol, look, Beterbiev would be the better fight legacy-wise, but if you're talking money, and probably the easier fight when you think about it, let's go after Canelo in September, get the big payday, put that to bed, and then we can do Beterbiev later. So, yeah, I'm not sure Bivol was ducking Beterbiev, Carl, but as we've talked about earlier, who knows what goes on behind these closed doors. What do we got there? Jules again. For your information, heard Stevie say that he will be first fight on the main event TV coverage around 10 a.m. Awesome, Jules. Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. So if you're getting the pay-per-view, guys, now while we're going, I'm going to check out the pay-per-view situation. Let's see what they want for it here in Australia, that is. If anyone knows, you can put it in the chat there. And here we go, main event. All right, $29.95 this weekend. Starts at 9 a.m. the telecast. So that's Victorian time or Eastern Standard Time. What else is coming up? We've got Haney Lomachenko and Maloney, Astrolabio, Parker, Opalu. We'll get to that in a second. I want to discuss that as well. All right, so yeah, get the fight, $29.95. I don't think it's a lot to ask for a really good card. Is it DAZN, Jules? Are they doing the telecast? Because if it is, I've got my doubts. I hate the telecast. Let's hope that they get the A team involved. Anyway, Dan again. How are you again, Dan? What do we got? So we aren't we going to get any free cards on Fox anymore with No Limit? Yeah, no, we are, mate. The way it works with the No Limit contract is what's supposed to work. They get 4 pay-per-views per year, and they're supposed to. I think is it a dozen free-to-air shows. Look, I'm not sure they're going to be able to reach that. It's a lot of work, a hell of a lot of work. And they're not a massive company. They're a smaller type of company. That's a lot of events to put together. But from my understanding, that was the initial contract, Dan, is that it would be 12, might even be 14, was it? Minimum of 12 anyway, of Fox. Was it No Limit on Fox? Like they do with the ESPN, with Top Rank and all that in the States, and Golden Boy and all that sort of thing as well. So this was supposed to be our version of it, where we were supposed to get, it's probably one a month, whatever, No Limit on Fox event. I heard initially that it was supposed to be Harry Garside on this upcoming one that Joseph Parker's on now, with Nikita Zoo on the undercard, and that would be a free event. Now, the Harry Garside situation, he had the reality TV show drama that we all heard about. So I'm assuming that maybe No Limit have decided to make this a pay-per-view, bring in the big guns. I would have thought, though, again, just thinking out loud, that this could, the Zoo Benjamin Bomber fight, I think would easily be big enough for a Fox, what is it called? No Limit on Fox night in Melbourne. Maybe they wouldn't have needed the Margaret Court Arena, which I think gets 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 people in there. I'm not sure they'll get anywhere near that. But there are little stadiums around that they could have probably had it in. There's the convention centre where the Hardman Zarafa fight was. I think they can get 2,000 or 3,000 people in there. I think they could have easily have done that and made this one of those No Limit on Fox Sports events. Because maybe I'm wrong. I think Nikita Zoo and Benjamin Bomber is more than worthy enough to be a main event on a No Limit on Fox. Maybe they thought with the Tim Zoo situation, maybe there mightn't be the ability to fulfill those 4 pay-per-views throughout the year. So they decided to make this one and bring in Joseph Parker. I don't know. But what do you guys think? I would have been more than happy for Nikita Zoo and Benjamin Bomber to headline a Melbourne card. Let's not forget that Brock Jarvis fought the Filipino in the last one a couple of months ago. So if that can be a main event on Fox, then I'm sure Nikita could as well. I know they probably wanted to do a bigger type of event in Melbourne too, but I don't think they've actually pulled that off, as I said last Thursday. So we'll get into that in a second as well. I want your opinion. All right. Andy says at some point Paro has to step up versus Ramirez, and that's it. Yep, 100%. Andy, let's go. Stevie, 100%. Stevie Spark. Ryder is very durable, but likely Canelo puts him out for his home fans. Yep, I agree, mate. What other comments we got going here? There's a few coming through. Yimmy, what do we got there, mates? Australian boxing is on the boom. You can say that again, Yimmy. You guys got a lot of good talent coming through and putting on good events. It's becoming a global market for boxing. Yeah, well, you're right, mate. I'm not sure where you're from. Let us know. But look, I think here in Australia at the moment, Yimmy, and there's probably a lot of young guys you haven't even sort of seen yet. Some really good young guys and girls coming through the ranks. And it's just really exciting at the moment. I don't think I've ever seen boxing fans so involved with it at the moment. Social media is just booming. So many good fighters coming through. Of course, the No Limit contract has been awesome, I think, in my opinion, because they put all the best fighters in the country under the one umbrella, and they're trying to match these guys and girls up for the best fights going forward. So I think it's great. But looking at the moment, Yimmy, of course, this weekend we've got Stevie Spark coming up with the Maloney boys, and the 2 weeks after that, of course, we've got Tim Zhu as well as a Rafa. We'll see what happens there. But so many big fights, or big fights for our guys and girls coming up. So really exciting times. Yep, Jay Brown, it's on main event, which is good. It is, but sometimes, Jay, main event will take the feed of the Zone or whatever it might be, ESPN or whatever it might be. I think the Jason Maloney fight is actually on ESPN. It'll be ESPN being Top Rank. So that card will be free in the States, but we'll pay $29.95 over here, which is no drama. I'm sure they've worked out a deal with main event here, the team of Jason Maloney, and they probably get a little bit of action from the money here, which is the way it should be. But let's hope so. Let's hope the Zone at least up the game, Jay, because the shows are just, in my opinion, just been woeful. Andy says, I'm sure Ryder was originally the WBA Mando off the Jacobs win before he beat Zach Parker for WBO Mando spot. Yeah, probably was, mate. Look, I got no dramas with Ryder getting a shot here. I really don't. And I think he's a good opponent in Mexico. Not good as far as stylistically goes, but just a good, I think he's going to be a durable guy that'll give the fans a show. But it'll be, I won't say an easy kill, but an easier kill than what he might get if he was, going to fight one of the big guns down there. I'll go through the comments here. Yimmy from the UK. I'm British. We'll talk about boxing being on a boom over there as well. Yimmy, also, especially in the heavyweight division at the moment, they seem to be ruling the division over there, and it's interesting, after all those decades of no success in the UK for heavyweights, they're just dominating over there at the moment, aren't they? So, but a lot of great fights coming through. I don't think anyone at the moment puts on better boxing events than the Poms, if we can call you guys Poms. Just the interaction with the fans over there, the turnouts at the stadiums, just massive. So it's great at the moment, though. Australia and the UK doing great things. Jules says, would love to see Aussie top 10 pound for pound under 25. Very, very good suggestion there, Jules. Let's do that next week. I'll have a look at it. And next week we'll do the top 10 under 25s. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. It's a good question, because most of the normal pound for pound are obviously above 25. I'll do that next week, Jules, for sure. I'll make a note of that. Yimmy says, Riders fights with Callum, Jacobs and Parker a tougher run than what most 168 guys have been. Yeah, no, you're right, mate. He fought multiple eliminators to face Canelo and his interim champion. Yep, deserves his shot, Yimmy, so all the best to him. And Batman, yeah, 100%, mate. Boxing on a whole is lit at the moment. I 100% agree with you, mate. I don't think I've missed any comments there, guys. If I have, I apologise. Speaking, just we'll continue on, I think, with yes, what have we got there? Yeah, my cousin's Australian and she calls me a pommy. Yeah, it's a term of endearment, Yimmy. I think it comes from the cricket, I think, but yeah. The Poms over there. All right, well, I want to talk a little bit more about the upcoming No Limit card. All right, so I did touch on this last Thursday night. It was a conversation between myself, Tassie, and Mike Altamura. I had my say. I didn't really get a lot of opportunity. It's a little bit hard when you've got the other guys involved in a show to go through all your comments and get your comments up. So I apologise if we didn't talk about it last week. But my view on the card, I'm going to bring it up here in a sec so I can have a better look at it. So No Limit, it's the big foray into Melbourne. Before I get into that, D-Style Boxing, how's it going, mate? I'm fantastic. Looking forward to being on your show on Friday morning Australian time, which is Thursday night US time. So check it out, 9 a.m. Australian time or Eastern time. Check me out on D-Style Boxing. So subscribe to that if you're not already. All right, so the No Limit card, I'll get back to you in a sec there, Yimmy. The No Limit card, all right, so it was announced that Joseph Parker will fight Fago Django Opalu in the main event. Kane Clark will fight Ricky Nato in, I suppose you'll call that the semi-main. Nikita Tszyu will fight Benjamin Bomber over 6 rounds. Jade Mitchell will fight Max Reeves over 8 rounds. Joel Taylor will fight Ben Horn over 6 rounds. David Naika will fight Louis Masters over 5 rounds. And Campbell Somerville will fight Isaias Seti over 5 rounds as well. And can't forget, actually I missed one now, Luke Gersbeck will fight Jack Moore over 5 rounds. And the AFL fight, our version of the footy fight, Cameron Mooney will fight, who's a Geelong legend, I suppose you want to call him, against Tom Bell Chambers, who was a bit of an Essendon battler, or battler for Essendon, however you want to say it. So that's the card. Now I'll let you guys have your say, but I want to really preempt firstly that I'm not. Well, probably sounds like I'm not bashing No Limit here, because I'm a massive fan of what they've done for Australian boxing. They have picked Australian boxing up, put it on their shoulders, and ran with it, and are the undisputed leaders in promotions in this country. I know there's other promoters out there that profess to be the main promoters in Australia, but look, these guys are number one. They've got the contract with Fox Sports, or whatever your main event, Foxtel, where they have exclusive rights to main event, which is our pay-per-view, and Fox Sports, which is the free, well, it's not the free to air, but it's the free channel on Foxtel, which you pay for, if that makes sense. Our cable channel. All right, so my point of view for starters is that, again, I love No Limit. I love what they're doing, but Melbourne is, I think it might even be now the biggest city in Australia, but whatever it is, it's a sporting mecca of Australia. If you're not from Australia, I know we get a lot of people from overseas watching this show, so I'll paint the picture for you. Melbourne has the Australian Open tennis tournament. It has the Formula One Grand Prix. It has the Melbourne Cup. And it has the AFL Grand Final, which is the biggest sporting event in Australia. I know a lot of you guys and girls overseas don't know much about AFL, and I'm not pumping the tires up of AFL here, guys. I'm just stating a fact. It is the biggest sporting event in Australia. So they have all the biggest events here. They've had the George Kambosos, Devin Haney fight here as well, both fights. They've had Jeff Fetting had all his biggest fights here in Australia, in Melbourne as well. So you get where I'm going at. So I can understand No Limit. This is the first foray into Melbourne. I just would have thought they might have wanted to make a bit more of a splash. Now, I don't know the circumstances, whether they weren't, some of these bigger fights weren't available, or, as I said before, maybe they didn't want to go in with a No Limit on Fox type of event. They wanted to go with a pay-per-view. I just don't think they've hit the mark with this one. Look, I'll pay for it. It doesn't matter. I'll pay for the event. It doesn't faze me, because if it's on, and I'll be watching it. I'm just not quite sure this card. It's probably, I'm going to go out on a bit of a limb here and say this is the weakest pay-per-view I think that No Limit have put on. And maybe it's not by their own planning. Maybe they wanted something bigger and it just wasn't available. I don't know, but I'm just struggling to get excited about it. I'm really excited about Nikita Tszyu and Benjamin Bomber, I will say. That will be a very, very good fight. And I don't subscribe at all that Benjamin Bomber is just another sheep being thrown to the lions in Nikita Tszyu. I think he will give Nikita Tszyu a very, very, very good fight. It's just the rest of the card. I'm really struggling to get excited by it. And I do know and have promoted a few guys on this card, which I'll go through at the moment. So I'm certainly not trying to have a crack at them individually. I'm just having a go at the card in general. Carl says, I'm a huge fan of No Limit, but don't shit on my plate and call it meatloaf. Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one. And look, again, I don't want to be seen like I'm having a whinge and slagging off No Limit, because I don't care who it is. I'm just saying, look, I suppose I'm a little bit biased because I'm a Victorian. I'm very passionate about my state, my city, and everything, and my country. But I'm just not excited by the card. I won't lie. And if I was talking to those guys, I'll be telling them, I'm sure they'll pull me up at some stage and say, hey, what are you doing? But you know what I mean? I'm just struggling to get excited about it, and I'm just venting, I suppose. Carl, the MCG is the best stadium in the world. Yeah, look, I think it is, Carl. Look, I will say it's not as Flush, if you haven't been to the MCG, let me just explain a little bit about it as well. It holds 100,000 people. It is an awesome stadium, and you've got to go there to experience it. Now, is it the flashiest stadium in the world? No. Is it the most technologically updated stadium in the world? No. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles and a lot of the stuff that these other stadiums around the world has. But I tell you, if you go to a big game, or whether it be football or cricket, or even soccer, rugby, whatever you want to call it, probably not so much rugby because it's, I'm talking rugby or league, I'll say, either one of them. I have been to the MCG to see the league State of Origin, and it was amazing. However, stadium's way too big for that. There's a lot of gaps around the outside. It was struggled to have that atmosphere, but I did see it at Marvel Stadium, and that was a hell of a lot better. But I digress. We get back on point. But the MCG, it's like the pulse of the stadium goes through your body. It is amazing. The atmosphere that you get in that stadium is as crazy. The last time I was there wasn't a great time for me. It was the round 23 Carlton Collingwood game last year at the MCG. There was almost 90,000 people there. But the atmosphere that day, and Carlton Collingwood are the arch rivals. I'm not sure who it is in league, Carl. Who are the biggest rivals out there? Is it the Broncos against someone? I don't know, but you get what I'm saying. The two biggest arch rivals against each other. Tribal support from everyone. It was crazy. I'm not saying it's not like that all around the world, but I'm just sort of using the MCG as an example. But when you're in there, as I said, it's not the flashiest, not the most up to date with technology, but the atmosphere in there is absolutely unbelievable if you get the right event. A boxing event wouldn't work there. It's too big. League didn't work there. It's too big. Soccer, it's not quite because, again, it's too big. But concerts do. I've been to a couple of concerts there, and holy shit, I was there to see Guns N' Roses. I think there was 80-something thousand there. But what they did, they only used half the ground or 3/4 of the ground. So pretty much the whole stands and on the ground was packed. It was unbelievable. Anyway, and I think just recently Ed Sheeran had 108,000 people twice in 2 nights in a row, 108,000 people in there. And I think Billy Joel might have hit the 100,000 as well. But anyway, you get my point. I'm a proud Melburnian or Victorian. We love our stadium. Back to the card. I've pumped the chest out a little bit too much. No limit card is a 6 out of 10 in your opinion. Yep, good, Jules. You're probably being a little bit generous. I'm thinking it's a 5. But anyway, thought it could use more. Hardman. Interested to see where Jade Mitchell is at. I fear for Louis Masters' health if he doesn't drop the Tyson imitation gimmick. Hey, that's a really good point, Jules. Look, he has been described as little mini Tyson. I'm with you. If someone doesn't get him aside and maybe do like Tyson did, move the head and slip and weave a little bit more, this is not going to end well against David Nayika. I think they fought before, haven't they? I'll just quickly check that out. Where was it? Louis Masters. So he did stop him in 2 rounds back in July last year. So I'm just wondering, if you've got a guy you've stopped in 2 rounds, and the talent gap in between these guys is massive. If you've stopped someone in 2 rounds, if you're David Nayika, how do you get excited by the fight? I don't understand it. Just on that, Jules, Mike Altamura made a really, really good point last week, and it's a little bit what you're talking about there. It needed one more big fight. And I know everyone's going to love Nikita and Benjamin Bomber. That'll be a big fight. I don't think that interested in Joseph Parker and Django Apalou. I really don't. I've got a feeling that after the Nikita, and it depends, actually, what they'll probably do with Nikita and Benjamin Bomber, they'll probably put it down the card 3 or 4 fights so that it's sort of middle card so that hopefully everyone will hang around. I'm not sure, because I'm on BoxRec at the moment, and I'm not sure the order of it, but the way it reads at the moment is Nikita Tszyu and Benjamin Bomber, then Joel Taylor, Ben Horn, then Jade Mitchell, Max Reeves, then Kane Clark, Ricky Nato, and then Joseph Parker, Fago, Apalou. It's not really, after the Nikita Bomber fight, I don't know, am I missing something? It's not really the mouth-watering type of thing. But what he was saying is it needs one more big fight, and that's what was great. We don't expect this to generate the same amount of money as the Tszyu Harrison fight did, so there's not as much to play with. However, surely there was a probably a bit early for Sam Goodman. Could this have been the card for a Liam Wilson comeback fight? You're right. Isaac Harbin, I reckon he would have been itching to get back in the ring after that last fight with Rowan Murdoch. Who knows? Maybe it could have been Zarafa, with what's going on with him. I don't know, but it needs that one more. It's the third sort of little cherry on top of the whole thing, and this doesn't have a cherry on top because, as I said the other night, if you take out Zoo and Bomber, I'm not excited by really one fight on that card. And I've promoted Joel Taylor, I've promoted Jade Mitchell, I've promoted Kane Clark. So I know these guys, and Campbell Somerville. I've promoted all those guys. I know them well, so they probably won't like me saying this, but I'm just saying it as it is. It's got nothing to do with them. I'm just saying the matchmaking in this aspect, maybe it's been slapped together really quick. They needed fights really quick for these guys. I don't get it. What have we got there? I'll get back to some. And Ross, you had to put that in there. Go Pies. You're not getting any tickets from me next time, Ross. Although actually on the Pies, what? I did take you to a game, didn't I, Ross? I took you to the grand final. What year was that? 2018. Can't remember what happened there. Maybe you can enlighten us. But anyway, one thing I will say to get off the beaten track here. Geez, I tell you what, I almost envy you Collingwood supporters out there at the moment. Holy shit, are they taking you guys for a ride or not? As a Carlton supporter, I must admit I never thought I'd say this, but and it's sacrilege, I know. I'm almost envious of you Collingwood supporters out there because you guys get so much value for money every week. So, good. And I couldn't believe even on the weekend, I was almost sort of riding the Pies home. I couldn't believe it. I had to sort of check myself and say, wake up to yourself when they started to come back. But anyway, that's a different subject. Jay says they've both shut both ends of Margaret Court off, just the middle section of the floor. Offered, is that right? Okay, I should have just went in the John Cain Arena. Yeah, well, makes sense, Jay. It really does. I don't understand. And as I said, the convention centre would have been, I was there for the Harbin Zarafa fight. It was a great atmosphere. Really, really good, tight. And it's got little, it's got like a downstairs area. It's only sort of two-sided, or it's like a circle, but only sort of half of it. It's got an upstairs balcony area, or grandstand type of area. I think it would have been perfect for this type of fight. And when those guys come out, it was packed in there on the night, I know, but the atmosphere in there was really, really good. Especially when Hardman hit the floor, you couldn't have thought the bloody ceiling was going to fly off. It was that loud. So, but yeah, worst case, Jay, I'm with you. They should have went to the John Cain Arena, which I have had boxing in a few times before. I think Danny Green's fought there a few times. I think I've missed a few comments here. Sorry, guys. Batman, what have we got there? Oh, all right. We're on the Tim Zoo. I can see a couple of comments there I'll go back to. I'll come back to this card in a minute, guys. Any more news on the potential Austin Trout fight? All right, Batman. I can't say too much, but I've had word from a very good source that it won't be Austin Trout for Tim Zoo. Now, I don't know who it's going to be, and I'm not putting all the chips in on it because they have teased this week that there's an announcement imminent on who he's going to fight, Tim Zoo I'm talking about. But I have it on good authority that's not going to be Austin Trout. I think he's had some legal problems, and maybe that's got something to do with this fight, with the promoters. I'm not 100% sure, but my good word is that Austin Trout will not be Tim Zoo's opponent. So I'm not sure who it will be. Just a couple more quick comments on Tim Zoo. Eubank, same arena. Also, again, either way will be a good fight on paper. Whatever happens, and definitely would pick Zoo, and Smith would be a good name for his resume. Yeah, so talking about Liam Smith fighting Tim Zoo. Well, the Eubank fight will obviously be first. Tim will fight his opponent, and then who knows what will happen after that if Charlo's not part of it. Interesting thing I will say too on the Tim and Charlo fight is that I bought tickets for the fight that was supposed to happen in January. When it was postponed, I got an email from AXS, which is the ticketing mob, and they said no refunds at this stage as it's been postponed. It hasn't been cancelled. So when the fight happens down the track, you'll be notified and you'll have the choice of either taking the tickets or offering a refund. Yesterday, I actually got an email saying the fight has officially been cancelled and expect a refund for your ticket. So I'm not sure whether they know something we don't. I'm assuming it might just be a time factor, that the fight's not going to happen in a 6-month period, so maybe they've just cancelled it and we'll just start again. I'm not sure. I'm sure the pricks will keep our booking fees and all the other fees and charges they charge us on top of our ticket. I'm sure they'll keep that and just give us our money back for the tickets themselves, but we'll see. I think I missed a few comments here, guys. I'll keep going with it. Might have been generous. 5 out of 10 with the zoo keeps me interested. Yeah, it does, mate. Well, I can't wait for that fight. I think it's going to be really good. Ross says, 2018 on my birthday and they lost. Well, I couldn't remember, Ross, but I do remember your reaction afterwards. But anyway, let's move on. At least you were there, which is a lot more than what Carlton have done in the last 20 years. D-Style says, maybe Zarafa should have been on the card. Yeah, I agree, mate. Maybe this card's been sort of put together. It's only, 3 weeks away, so maybe it's a little bit short notice for Michael. Maybe he was fully planning to not fight till July, so wasn't in the best physical condition. Knowing Zarafa, Michael Zarafa, by the way, always in tip-top condition, but maybe he planned for that sort of June, July fight and was just sort of going through the motions a bit, so 3 weeks turnaround might have been a bit too much. But yeah, just another name would have been good, D-Style. I'm sure you guys probably won't get the fight over there. If you do, it might be free. I'm not sure how it works with our pay-per-views here, how it works over there. But they needed someone because it's just lacking at the moment. Andy, nothing wrong with giving your honest opinion there, Lynden. Thanks, Andy. Be sure to tell that to No Limit and the other guys on the card that I've bagged out. If you don't float your boat, don't float your boat. And constructive criticism encourages them to do better next time. Yeah, well, good point, Andy. And look, I will say from my point of view, I often get asked about different comments I make, but my opinion is, with everything, is that I will never say anything on here or on our other shows that I wouldn't be prepared to say to the face if I was confronted, whether it be in person or a phone call or whatever. So whether it be a fighter or a promoter or whoever, it's just my opinion. And if I'm sure they wouldn't, because they probably wouldn't give a shit about this show. But if No Limit wanted to say, hey, what's the go? I'd be open and honest and say, look, I love you guys, what you do, but I don't rate this show. I don't think this is in your best portfolio of work. So I appreciate your support there, Andy. But as I said, I wouldn't say it if I wasn't prepared to just say it to them if I was pulled up. Big J is in the house. What's he going to say tonight? Hey, mate, No Limit has really not done themselves any justice with this card. Not terrible, but not great. Yeah, I'm with you, mate. And I'm glad you guys sort of see the same thing. Look, if it was free, I don't think we'd be complaining. It's free boxing on the TV. If you can call it free, we're still going to pay a subscription to Foxtel. But yeah, it's going to be $60. It's a lot of money to pay, I think. When there's so much going on at the moment to pay for, and the cost of living has gone up, $60, is it really worth it? I don't know. And he says, old mate, Big J. D-Style, I've seen Trout fight live a few times. He's from here. In his prime, he was really good, but that was like 11 years ago. Yeah, well, at one stage he was going to fight our man, Anthony Mundine, D-Style, and for one reason or another, that fight fell through. I think there was an injury or something involved. I can't remember. But look, this guy beat Miguel Cotto, but it was a long, long time ago, and I thought he gave Canelo a pretty good fight. I know he ended up losing a shutout decision, but I thought he actually gave Canelo a not a bad fight back in the day. Canelo was doing a lot of damage to a lot of fighters back then, and I thought he hung tough in that one. So, look, I think I said last week that with Austin Trout, I don't care who it is with Tim. I don't care who he fights. He's more than earned a tune-up fight, so I don't care who he gets in with, to be honest. I know if he fights maybe a lesser light, if it had been Trout, I'm sure the feedback wouldn't have been great. But this guy has more than earned a tune-up fight. It's not his fault that Charlo's put it off again. He took a very, very hard fight in Tony Harrison last time out when he didn't have to. Excuse me. And within a week, probably not even a week of this latest postponement, he's taken another fight. So hats off to him. And as I said, he can fight whoever he wants. I don't care. Will I pay $60 for it? I think I will, but yeah, you get where I'm going with it. That maybe the pay-per-view money they want for it, if it's not a legitimate opponent, might be worthy of a debate. But as I said, as far as in the terms of his career goes, I think he's entitled to fight whoever he wants. Thank God Tim ain't fighting Trout. If true, purely a vulture move. A vulture move. to fight Trout. Okay, I take back what I said then. Got a feeling Jarvis would have been close to getting on the card before a split with Jeff. Yeah, well, we've talked about on here, Jules, what happens with Brock with the Jeff thing. That's going to have implications. It really is. Sponsors have already dropped off. There's a lot more to this than just saying to Jeff, thanks, let's part ways. Sponsors are one. The No Limit deal might be another one. I think No Limit will still want Brock. I think this whole thing changes, by the way, if the rumours are true and Brock does go with Team Hyder, with the Maloneys and that as well, that his stock will then be rise again and he'll be right back in the mix with those cards. Why wouldn't you want Brock Jarvis on your card? He's a great guy, very, very marketable. He can fight, never in a bad fight. So, but yeah, who knows again what goes on behind closed doors, whether the deal was with No Limit and Jeff or with No Limit with Brock, where they have to renegotiate with Brock, and maybe they've said not at this stage. But I would have loved to see Brock on this card. Yeah, good call, Jules. Thoughts on Mauricio Suleiman saying WBC will not sanction a Bivol fight with Better Beef. Was it just Better Beef D-Style, or was it just in general? I did see that. I must admit the headline, I didn't sort of read the whole article, I will say. I read the headline and then the first couple of lines, but that's interesting. Look, I don't want to get political. I never do. But whether you agree with what's happening with Ukraine and Russia, all that sort of stuff, let's put that off the table. Should a Russian athlete be penalised because of it? My opinion is no. I know some of you guys out there will have differing views, and I respect that. But my point is, why can you should you penalise an athlete who's not actually? I don't think he's actually based in Russia. He's just of Russian descent. I think he lives in the States or bases himself in the States. It's pretty harsh to, if that is the case, D-Style, to not be able to give him award, to sanction a fight for him just because of his nationality. I don't get it. Condemn what the Russians are doing all you like. And again, I'm not getting political. Everyone has their own views. But the fact that he's a Russian national, pretty piss poor, D-Style, I will say. These sanctioning bodies should not get political, if you ask me. Make a stand against them. Make your thoughts known, whatever it might be. But don't penalise the athletes. On to the pay-per-view. No pay-per-view has ever been worth $60 just insulting. It's a lot of money to pay, isn't it, Big J? Look, I haven't got a problem, I will say. Like the last card with Tim and Tony Harrison, in my opinion, well worth $60. I would pay it, $60. That was a great card. I think it comes down to not just the main event. Although, let's say if it was Tim Tszyu and Michael Zarafa, you'd probably pay the $60 and not give a tossies on the undercard. A bit like Pacquiao, Mayweather. What they get for that $100 US or something, whatever that was, and the undercard was shit. But no one cared. They just wanted to see the main event. I'm with you. I think they've got to maybe have a tiered system in place, Big J. This card here is probably worth $40 tops, I would think. Maybe 50, but definitely not $60. And I think there'll be a lot of people saving their money and just watch the replay afterwards or get it illegally streamed. Not that I condone that, by the way, but you know the way it works. Jay Brown says, just on Paro, I saw the total purse bid won by Matchroom was $303,000. So they won the bid. Okay, beautiful. Beat Top Ranks 271. Hopefully a good payday for Paro. Yeah, well, you'd think so. If that's the case, Jay, that's awesome. If that's US dollars too, I'm assuming. I think all the purse bids are done in US dollars. So, yeah, that's a great payday and opportunity for Paro. Tough fight, as I said earlier, but yeah, hopefully let's hope all these fighters get paid what they're due. The amount of sacrifice that these guys put into it, and girls, they need to be paid for their troubles. I'm sick of look, the promoters are, they take all the risk, I suppose, as far as the event goes. So make sure they're well paid too, but it's got to be tiered. If it makes good money, I hope the promoter makes good money, but I really hope the fighters and the undercard make good money. Because in the past, I think a lot of fighters have been gypped by promoters. We've got to get out of that. Maybe we've got to be a bit more transparent as far as with the purse bids and the purses that are out there, that it's probably overseen a little bit better. And the fighters, maybe there needs to be a boxers union or something where there's a certain percentage of whatever it might be the event generates that they get a nice cut of it. I don't know. Wishful thinking, I suppose. And he says, Mauricio is an idiot. Back you there, mate. Bivol and Better Beef has absolutely nothing to do with Russian-Ukraine war. They don't even live in Russia anymore. Yeah, that was my thought too, Andy. Look, if the WBC, look, I don't believe any sporting organisation should get political no matter what it is. And we've seen in the last, again, I'm not going to get into it all. I'm just putting it out there. In the last few years, all the, here in Australia, I'm talking about all the, whether it be cricket, AFL, league, soccer, whatever it was, we had the Black Lives Matter movement, all this sort of stuff. And again, I'm not putting my 2 cents in about which way I sort of roll with everything. But what I'm saying is, you're getting athletes in, this is in those sports I'm talking about, to where they have to take a knee or wear a shirt or wear a Guernsey that they might necessarily believe in, and to put them in a position where they either have to do or have to toe the line, or they're ostracized or banned or, ridiculed by social media people. I just don't think they should put the athletes in that position. And that's why I think keep out of it. And, again, I'm not getting into it all, but in the AFL and the league, I'll go by the AFL sort of scene here, is that the Black Lives Matter thing, everyone was expected to take a knee, and if you didn't, there was hell to pay. What about the ones that didn't really see it that way? I know I'm on thin ice here, but I don't want to get into it. But whether it be Black Lives Matter or the Pride thing, all that sort of stuff, you've got to have people, whether it be personal beliefs as far as religion or whatever it goes, or just think differently. They're expected to toe the line in all these causes, or they're ostracized. And same thing in this one. It should just stay out of it. These guys, as you say there, don't even live in Russia. So why should they bear the brunt of the WBC's view on something that's outside of sport? Anyway, we'll see. Jules says, not suggesting no limit jumped off Brock. Just think the timing might not have been right. Yeah, he only fought a couple of months ago, mate. So maybe they're going to save him for the next Sydney show or Queensland show. Who knows? D-Style says, any WBC title fight according to him. Well, that's bullshit if that's the case, D-Style. Highlights why we have so little respect for the WBC, mate, because they're just idiots. Jules says, if we start sanctioning individual athletes because of what the governments do, no American or Aussie would ever fight again. Yeah, look, Tassie's been a bit advocate about this, Jules. And again, I don't want to get into the whole political side of things because I've got my views, as you guys have your own views, and that's fine. Respect either way. But you're right. I know I've got American viewers there. Look, whether it be America, UK, Australia, whoever, the Western world, I suppose, we get the finger pointed at us a lot for different things that we do around the world, especially the Americans, of course. They seem to be the big brother of the world, and, they're a superpower. But so no matter how you look at it, and that's why it gets back to my point, Jules, just stay out of it. Stay out of it. Whether you're a sporting body or whatever it might be, just stay out of the politics of sport. Concentrate on it. And when it comes to boxing, I suppose you could probably put boxing into it as well. Well, you could. That people, they want to go, like say in this instance here, we'll take boxing for starters. They want to see Bivol and Better Biv fight. They don't give a shit about the political shit going on. They want to see these guys fight. They get enough of the political stuff on social media, on through the mainstream news, all that sort of stuff every single day. It's like going to the football. People just want to go to the football and be left alone. Soccer, rugby, league, soccer, cricket, no matter what it is, they just want to go and leave all this stuff behind. And box is no different. We just want to see the best fight the best. So stay out of it, WBC, whatever it is. I'm just waiting for their belt to commemorate some bullshit cause that they're behind. Get back to basics and get your ratings right and get everything else right. And let's get on with what, get boxing back on track and sport in general back on track. And again, I don't want to get into the political bullshit. I just want sporting bodies to stay out of all the stuff. And especially here, do we miss out on a big fight simply because the WBC have a problem with Russia? Come on, that's ridiculous. Anyway, Big J says $20 for the pay-per-view. That's come on, mate. That's not even a slab of beer there. Dan says $60 for that card as a joke. Well, I'm glad I'm getting a bit of support here. Big J again. Paro's now fighting Jose Ramirez. Apparently, yeah, he is, mate. We covered that earlier in the show. Andy says anything good on undercard of a big caliber fight is a bonus. Yep, I agree. Always good to warm up to the main event. Look, we look back in the years gone by, Andy, and you look, you remember we talked about here sometimes the Don King shows back in the day. You might have, whether it might be Mike Tyson as the main event. Of course, everyone's there to see Mike. But in undercard, you might get Julio Cesar Chavez, you might get Terry Norris, just all these great fighters on the undercard. You might have 2 or 3 world title fights on the undercard. But how good was that? But I'm with you. The massive fights, I think a good undercard is just a bonus. Now, when I go overseas to watch, whether it be Mayweather, Pacquiao, Canelo, whatever is in the past, I didn't really give a shit who was on the undercard. And most of the time, I'll be honest, the undercards weren't great. But I'm with you there, it's a bonus. But if you only got a so-so card like this, if Parker and Opaloo is your main event, stack it with 3 or 4 really good fights on the undercard. Because I'm with you, $60 for this fight is a little bit too far. Big J says, get the CFMEU onto the union for the boxers. Those wankers will fit right in. Sit around all day and do sweet FA. I'm with you there, mate. She's like, what's that say there? Bludgers Union. Jeez. I'm gathering you're not in a union. But yeah, I'm with you. There should be a union for boxers. But then again, then the unions will probably be corrupt bastards and they'll be ripping the boxers off as well. So I don't know. Who knows? Andy says, light heavyweight, undisputed Beterbiev and Bivol is bigger than Canelo too, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree with you, mate. Bigger for fight fans, not bigger as far as the event and money and all that sort of stuff goes and pay-per-views. But I'm with you, mate. I'd much prefer, as far as a boxing fan goes, to see that fight. It's much bigger with boxing fans. I think Benavides would probably be bigger than that one as well if he fought Canelo, than Bivol and Canelo too. Canelo's best legacy move, in my opinion, is defend at super middleweight, which he's doing here, of course. Bivol beat Arda, then rematch is bigger, in my opinion. Yeah, it is, mate. I think Canelo doesn't really want to fight. I don't think he wants a bar of Beterbiev, to be honest. I don't think that's just a bad fight for Canelo. I think Bivol is as well, but at least he doesn't really get involved in a really tough, hard fight, which is what Beterbiev would be. Benavides, I've said on here a couple of weeks ago, I'm not as big a rap on Benavides as a lot of you guys are and out there. I think that last fight with Caleb Plant proved my theory that I think he's overrated. I think Canelo wins that fight quite comfortably. Just saying. Let's get back to wait for some more comments to come through there with the card. Now, my issue with the card, by the way, this is the Parker Opaloo card again, is that it's just the fights are, look, I'll backtrack. The strength of No Limits cards have been, whether they've been names or no names, I suppose you'll call them, is that they're all 50-50 fights. They're all great fights, whether male or female, whatever it might be. Always great fights. This is what this card's actually lacking. There's no female fights in there. I would have loved to have seen, what's her name, Dargan, or that other girl. She's probably been, all the fights have been Fight of the Year candidates. But I'll look at this one here. Now, I'm going to go through it quickly. Cameron Mooney, Tom Bell Chambers, well, will just be another 2 heavyweight, football heavyweights. Will just probably throw haymakers, give the crowd a bit of entertainment and whoever. I'm not really fussed about that. It will be big down here, though, what I will say, is because it'll get a lot of attention on the footy shows down here, radio. So there will be a lot of interest in it. So I can almost see where No Limit are coming from by putting that on the card. So no issue with that. Am I excited about it? Couldn't give a shit. Luke Gersbeck, who is 3-0 against Jack Moore, is 2-3-1. I think by that you would see that Luke Gersbeck is going to be the favourite by a mile in that one. Campbell Somerville, who is 3-0 against Asaya Seti, who is 0-1-1. Campbell Somerville, I think, will eat Seti up. David Nayika will probably get Louis Masters out of there again in a couple of rounds, so I'm yawning at this stage. Nikita Tszyu, Benjamin Bomber, can't wait for that fight. That is the shining light. Big tick for that one. Can't wait, and I think that will be a really, really good, tough fight. What I will say about that one, there's been a lot of pushback on Nikita, especially by, obviously, Benjamin Bomber's team, but a few on social media about it as well, about the 6-round versus 8-round situation. I think Nikita Tszyu handled himself absolutely perfectly when he said, well, I've got a plan in place, and he didn't really come out and say it, but he should have said, I'm the A side, I'll do whatever the hell I want. If it's 6 rounds, if I want 6 rounds, it's going to be 6. You just show up on the night, young man, and shut your mouth. I can understand Benjamin Bomber wanting to come in with the 8-rounder because he wants to probably take Nikita in a bit more deeper waters. So I can see that. But I really liked Nikita's response where he said, well, this is my path. And he wasn't drawn into it. Ben Damon tried to draw him into it. Benjamin Bomber tried to draw him into it about having the argument. He said, no, this is our plan is to have X amount of 6-round fights. We'll then go to 8 rounds down the track and so on and so on. The guy's been out of boxing for 8 years. He's had 5 fights. So I can understand. I'm sure if Glenn Jennings had been there as well, he would have probably interjected as well and said, well, this is our trajectory. We're not going to be pushed and moved along just because there's a few people on social media or Benjamin Bomber's team who are arcing up about it. So I really liked his answer. Calm, measured, didn't get drawn into anything. None of the trash talking. When Bomber tried to trash talk, sort of talk him up a little bit. So I was really, really impressed with Nikita that he was so settled, so composed, and just said, no, this is our plan, and I'm going to stick to it. You can ask for 8 rounds all you want, but it's going to be 6. So no problem with that at all. Then we go into Joel Taylor and Ben Horn. Well, as I said the other night, look, we've got a lot of admiration for Ben Horn. Tough as nails. He gave Nikita Tszyu his hardest fight by a mile. He's going to turn up. He's going to have a crack. He's going to be durable. He's going to give it everything he wants. But Joel Taylor's going to bash him for every single round of the fight. It's just fact. It's just what's going to happen. Ben Horn will be game. He'll have heart. He'll hang in there. He'll probably last 6 rounds. But Joel Taylor, good young kid. I just think he'll tee off on Ben Horn every single round, win it easily. And we'll be on to the next fight. It'll be Jade Mitchell, Max Reeves. Look, Jade, I suppose you've got to give Max Reeves slight chance. He's 7-0, young guy, but really hasn't fought anybody of anywhere near the caliber of Jade Mitchell. I know they wanted Blake Wells for Jade, and he lost his last fight, so I can see why that fight fell over. And Jade probably wants more of a tune-up, I suppose you'd call it. It's only his second fight back after a 3-year layoff. So I can see, but Jade's going to box, move, clinch, hold, step aside. He's just going to get a good 8 rounds under his belt and probably win every single round. There won't be an exciting fight. There won't be fireworks. Jade, experienced campaigner. He knows it for what it is. I think he'll just outbox Max Reeves and win every round. Then we get the Kane Clark, Ricky Nato. Now, on paper, probably looks like a good fight. Kane Clark, I can see there, 14-0. Ricky Nato, 23-3 for the IBO Oceania Super Lightweight title. But I said on the show the other night, fight fans here, if it's not the main event, don't tend to get too excited about an international as the main support. That's just like, yeah, let's get through this one and get to the main event. I'm sure Nato, Mike Altamura said the other night that he can fight, so I'm sure that's good. Kane Clark has taken the next step. All credit to him. But again, I'm not excited by the fight at all. And Joseph Parker, former world heavyweight champion, if you will, fighting a real honest performer in Django Opolu, 15-3-2 against Parker, who is 31-3. I don't know. I just credit to Django for taking the fight, but I just see Parker, I won't say playing with Django, but winning every single round. He might stop him even later in the fight. I'll just get my light right there. But it's a 12-round fight. Django has been known to fade badly during fights. Was it Lucas Brown got him out of there? Justice Honey got him out of there. Look, he did start pretty well in those fights, I will say. But Joseph Parker is a hell of a lot, a little lot higher up the ladder than, say, Lucas Brown. Justice Honey, I think, will get to that level, but not maybe quite there yet. Well, that was his first fight, by the way. So, look, I've got full respect for Opolu, Django for getting in there, but Parker, I would think, is going to play with him for 6 or 7 rounds and just get him out of there. So that's why I'm finding it hard to get excited by the fight, because there's no 50-50 fights on there, bar probably Nikita. And, well, that's probably not even 50-50. I would say it's probably 70-30 for Nikita, and that's probably the closest I can get to. Apart from the Clark-Nato fight, let's put that aside. There's no 50-50 fights on there. They're all 90-10, if you ask me. So, anyway, that's why I've got that opinion. Jules says, Benjamin Bomber made the comment that Team Tszyu are experienced, know what they're doing, etc. Someone tell Ben that he's being fed to a line and not to worry about 6 rounds. Well, I think that's what did Nikita sort of allude to that fact. Hey, we'll make it 8 or 10 rounds. I don't care. It's not going to go that far anyway. I think it does. I think it goes 6 rounds. I think Benjamin Bomber is the best fighter that Nikita's fought. And good young talent. Is it enough against Nikita? I don't think so. But good young guy who, talent-wise, who's putting on the line. I like the style too because was he only 20 or 21? So if he loses the fight, who cares? He comes back in 10 fights time. No one will remember what happens in his fight. So good luck to him. I say take it. But teams who are experienced, Jules, which is why they would say, mate, know your place. We're the A side. You're the Z side. You're not on this card without us, so just go back to what you're doing. So I understand that. I don't blame Benjamin Bomber for putting it out there to make this an 8-round fight. I don't. But as I said before, Nikita Zoo handled it like a pro, and I'm sure he's been well drilled by Glenn and the team about what to say and what not to say. But don't get defrosted about it. Just shrug your shoulders and say, well, that's it. The contract says 6, so you want 6. So, and if you don't want the fight, someone else will take it, and he misses out on an opportunity and the payday. So, what do we got there? And Andy says, smash that like, folks. Yes, I continue to forget that. So, guys, we haven't got much longer. Got about 5 minutes before we jump off. If you've got anything you want to discuss, let us know now. But what are your thoughts on the card? Are you going to pay for it? Am I being a bit harsh on everyone involved in it? I'm not having a go at the fighters here, by the way, guys. They'll fight whoever they're in against. I just don't think it's the right show for the first foray into the sports capital of Australia, which is Melbourne. Take out the Melbourne versus Sydney or Melbourne versus Queensland. I'm not about that. I'm just saying that it is a fact that Melbourne is the sporting capital of Australia, if not one of the capitals of the world with what goes on here. So I just would have thought they would have come in with a bit better card. But anyway, just my opinion. Guys, I don't think there's any more comments coming through, so we might call it a night. I'll give it an extra few seconds here. But if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. Like, share, all that sort of stuff. Make sure, too, that you check out the latest edition of What's Your Verdict, which is... what was it? Larry Holmes, Michael Spinks 2. I just saw a comment come through there from Jules. I'll get to that in a sec. So check it out. Who do you think won the fight? I actually thought that Michael Spinks won by 1.8 rounds to 7. Who do you guys think won? I've got an Instagram poll going at the moment. Quick one before I answer your question there or comment there too, Jules. Is the next couple of weeks. I will be on next Monday night. I am heading off on Tuesday morning. But the show must go on. I will be here Monday night as normal. After that, the next 2 shows while I'm in the States, I will be doing a Talking Boxing live from the States. There'll be one from Stockton and there'll be one from Vegas. It will be Saturday afternoon or about midday Australian time. I think it'll be whatever time at night on the Friday night after the weigh-ins of both shows. I will be doing the live. And as I said, it will be Saturday afternoon-ish here in Australia for you guys to jump on Talking Boxing, but I'll give you plenty of notice. A couple more comments coming through before we go, guys. Not often that a Zoo fights in Melbourne. Still buying a ticket. Yeah, 100%, Jules. I'm assuming obviously you're from Melbourne. Not since his dad fought here in 2003 against Jesse James Leha. I think they got 30 or odd thousand to that show. Back that was at the old it was called Telstra Dome then, which is now Marvel Stadium. So Big J says, what do you say there, mate? Definitely trying to get those media credentials for the No Limit fight. Yeah, why wouldn't you? I don't like my chances of getting them, Big J. Maybe you can get me one too. Am I going? No, I won't be there, mate. I'm getting back from overseas, I think. It was either that morning or the day before. So I'll probably just watch it. You know the drill, mate. You go away, you got to rekindle the brownie points. So no, I'll be watching it at home. Relaxing after a couple of weeks away with the family, so I won't be going, mate. Andy, thank you, mate, as always, for tuning in, and everyone else there that's tuned in tonight. Really appreciate it. The hour and a half goes so quick with you guys on there. I really appreciate it. Again, subscribe, or share, and we'll see you next Monday night at 7 p.m. again. And can't wait to, again, after that, catch up in the States for the next 2 episodes. So thanks again, and we'll see you next week. Bye.